Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing Season 5, Episode 9, the Ornithophobia Diffusion. And we're talking how to cook salmon, hydroelectricity in dams, the George Lucas changes in Star Wars, high-frequency tone generators, and how many people really get killed by birds. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot.
Make yourself a grasshopper
And enjoy the ride. Ahoy there, Ryan.
Ahoy, Rob. How goes it?
Things are going great because we are hitting 100 episodes.
Woo!
We're going to be breaking down Season 5, Episode 9, the Ornithophobia Diffusion, and this is our 100th episode.
It's here. We did it. Woo!
Yep. And we have a prize to give away. So in the past few episodes, we've actually given out some code words. We've been collecting them, and we're going to be doing a raffle. So we are recording this a little ahead of time, so we will be conducting the raffle later, but we'll be inserting the clip later on after we do our housekeeping. But yeah, 100 episodes. So thanks to our listeners, viewers, everybody out there, supporters. Couldn't have done it without you. You give us the strength to keep going forward.
Motivation, will to live, all of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess, should we just take care of the raffle right now? I mean, I'll insert it in. We'll just put it in.
Yeah, we can put it in here.
We'll have a separate recording. We'll have to get together to actually do the raffle.
Do that.
But
yeah.
We'll insert that footage in right here.
Bing.
All right. We have all the entrances in. So
They're
are
all
ready
here?
to... Yep. Thank you again, everyone, for submitting all the code words. We really appreciate it. We got a nice hefty list. So we have everyone's name down in an Excel sheet and a random generator.
And some great comments in
yep.
the emails. Thank you for sharing. So
yeah. All right. Drum roll, please. And the winner of the $50 gift card is... Oh, Chris with a K, our newest emailer. Wow.
Oh,
that's great. Yeah. We actually did just get an email from him, but I already promised him that I would read his email at the following episode. So, Chris, you're just going to have to wait, but I guess you get an extra shout out because you just won.
Congrats. Yay.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. Now, back to the episode.
Now they're 100 episodes. Yay.
Well, we'll do something special a little sooner. How about that?
Okay.
All right, back to the episode. And now we're back. And all right, well, congratulations. And thanks everybody for actually taking the time to email us the code words and everything like that. And thanks for always listening. So at our next milestone, we'll have to do something similar. We'll have to talk about it.
I was cleaning out my office and I moved because I think I've shared with everybody that I recently had a kid. Between last episode and this episode, people knew I was having a kid. Had one, so I had to move my office downstairs, and I was cleaning up and I found my journals from season 1 and season 2, and I'm like, wow, we've been doing this for a little while. And I started feeling nostalgic, wow, I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing, but even more so back then. And it's funny because I look, in my head for some reason, I'm like, oh, we've only been doing this for a year or two. And it's 100 episodes. It's a few years. And then I switched from notebooks to online notes, around season 3. And so I have all my online notes. I have a few journals, and it's just good memories. And it's building up. It's built up over time, I guess. So it's gone by fast.
Our published versary is actually in May. Yep. So we're about to hit 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. A lot goes on in 4 years.
Yeah. I had a kid. You had a kid.
Yeah.
All right.
People got murdered. You moved.
Oh. Well, no, wait. I think it was declared as self-defense. I think it was
Let's see. Yeah, it wasn't murder.
Yeah,
it was
because she got out. So new listeners are probably just like, "What the fuck is happening?"
What the hell? If you don't know, go back. It's worth the listen.
Yep. Just listen to all of our episodes all over again. Just start from the beginning. You'll find it.
You'll find it somewhere in there.
Yeah. But all right. What'd you think of this episode? Actually, no, wait. Housekeeping first. Housekeeping first. So we love emails. Email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We've learned that a lot of people do email us to give us code words. So feel free to just email us questions or what you think about the episode or anything. We've had some people in the past send us IQ points. That's always fun. Or give us an IQ point recommendation for a future episode, something that you want to hear about. So theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We also love 5-star reviews. So go on Apple Podcasts, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click that 5 stars. We're also on YouTube at Theoretical Nonsense. Hit like and subscribe. And I think that's it. So, what'd you think of the episode?
I enjoyed it. It was that blurred line between filler episode and not filler. And despite that, I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Sheldon deal with his fears a little bit. I guess some deeper characterization there, even if it's not directly contributing to the story. And then seeing Leonard and Penny's relationship build, although I do think it's kind of weird because how long have they been broken up? It's been like over a year now, right?
Yeah, it's been multiple, like a season and a half. It's
a season and a half. It feels like they would have dealt with this before.
Yeah.
So I felt kind of weird about that, but at the same time, I thought it was necessary to see how they interact. And the big thing is Leonard is coming into himself and being able to be a little bit more assertive and see things a little bit differently and, be independent, right? Be an individual, I guess. Whereas before, and he's still developing, but before he's bending over backwards for women a little bit too much. And maybe he's seeing that and growing a little bit. So from that, I don't think it's completely filler. I thought that what goes on should have happened maybe a little bit earlier. Sheldon's story was fun and funny and some about his characterization. I enjoyed it. What were your thoughts?
This was just okay. I only watched it a couple times. It had some funny parts, but like the Penny Leonard thing, you're right that it is something that we needed to see and we needed to deal with and everything like that, how they're going to interact and move forward. But I just didn't really care for it. They were definitely trying to like not hurt each other per se, but they were definitely trying to like they were both being assholes essentially.
There's still some emotions there, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to play them off, which I guess is part of why it's hard to hang out with your exes. But at the same time, they weren't being mature about it, and some of it was funny. Some of it was they were just being kind of jerks to each other too. So
yeah, it's one of those things like there's always things in a relationship that you don't necessarily like, and then once you're almost given permission to like not do them, then all of a sudden it gets like very exaggerated. So it's very exaggerated. So it was kind of funny, like, but at the same time, I was like, this is kind of annoying. I definitely enjoyed the Sheldon storyline though. That one I actually really liked.
I do have to say that with Leonard and Penny, I brought up some interesting questions for me, and we've talked about a little bit about how we pretend to be different people, especially when we start dating. And I know with Kelsey, part of when we started dating, she's like, I love horror movies, and now it's like she can't stand horror movies. I'm like, who did I start dating? What happened? And my dad said the same thing about my mom, that when he started dating her, she claimed that she loved war movies, and now she would rather have teeth extracted than watch a war movie with him. So I guess that's just part of dating, right?
Yeah.
We try to be what the other person wants, and I thought that was interesting a little bit too. But yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's anything like that with me and Christina, but I don't think so. I think we were actually pretty like. It was funny because I was in this stage of like kind of fuck it with dating and everything like that, where I was kind of just like, you know what, I'm gonna be myself to a fault and just see what happens. And it turns out she liked it, and she's probably one of the most honest people that I've ever met too, so she's always like very true to herself. So yeah, but that was just us.
And it's usually best if you try to be true to yourself, because you're just setting yourself up for frustration and the other person up for disappointment. But I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, between lying on their work applications and dating resumes, trying to embellish resumes a lot.
Oh yeah, I totally have 20 years of experience.
I'm fluent in all languages. Okay, so should we dive in?
Yeah, I think we could just dive in now. Are you feeling good on leading this one?
Yeah, I think I got it. I think so. As I can proceed to fuck it all up.
Wait, so how much sleep have you gotten lately?
Sleep? Who sleeps?
What sleep?
What sleep? It sounds nice. Okay, so we are on season 5, episode 9, the Ornithophobia dilemma. Man, that's a hard word. This aired November 10th, 2011.
Diffusion. Ornithophobia Diffusion, right?
November 10th, 2011. Directed by Mark Sandrowski. Writers Bill Prady, Sivan Milaro, and Eric Kaplan. I have to say, it is one of my biggest fears that we're going to sit down and start up, and I will have watched a different episode completely and be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. In 100 episodes, we've been on the same track, but I swear now that I'm, knock on wood, it's going to happen.
Especially with that brain fog.
Right?
It's going to get worse. And it doesn't go away.
It just gets worse. I had a friend talk to me, it was a couple months ago, but I didn't realize this, but when you get a haircut, and I guess this matters because fears and phobias, when you get a haircut, usually you go in and the barber will comb your hair a little bit, and that's actually to check to see if you have hair lice. And if they notice anything, they have to get you out of the building very quickly. And I'm like, oh God, that just unlocked a new phobia that I'm going to be like, dude, I'm getting a haircut. And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. You have lice.
You've got to go.
You got to go. And then everybody's going to look, point, and laugh at me. Apparently they do it very nonchalantly and they're very courteous, or that's what I was told. But like,
with your luck, they'll scream
and hit me with a broom. Like, get out of here. Shoot.
So whack you in the head like a mole.
Like a mole. Yeah. All right, so phobias. We start in the lobby, and Leonard is getting his mail, and Penny comes in. Penny has brought home salmon from the cheesecake factory. It's about to go bad, so she was able to bring some home. And she asks if Leonard knows how to cook it. Neither of them actually know how to cook it. And she says that she should have brought home the questionable, what'd she say? Liberated the questionable chicken. So she could have had chicken, but she brought home salmon. And I think this qualifies as the IQ point because I looked up the 4 best ways to cook salmon, and it's really not that fucking hard. So it's just, I guess, if you've never done it, and you can screw it up, but it's not that hard, but you can screw it up. I looked at a website called hungerroot.com, and basically this is what I've been trained with, I guess, from cooking in the past, but what I was expecting as well. But first, you start with, did you do anything on this? I was curious if you looked into it because you like the food stuff.
I didn't, and now I'm disappointed in myself because I'm always trying to turn this into a food cast, and I have failed.
Oh, it happens. It's the brain fog.
Yep, still on brain fog 3 years later.
So you start with seasoning it, and the fish steak, the salmon steak, or whatever it is. And they recommend salt, pepper, garlic powder, and whatever other seasonings that you would like. Paprika as well. I have some fish and Bayou and Cajun blends that I like, but the number one things is before you cook it, salt, pepper, and garlic powder almost for everything. They say bake it, grill it, pan sear it, or air fry it. And I've never tried air frying it, but I'm curious. To bake it, you preheat your oven to 375, you pat the fish dry, and you bake it for about 4 to 6 minutes until it reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit. So easy peasy, in for about 5 minutes, and check it to make sure it's 145. You're good to go. To grill it, you set your grill to medium-high temp, and then you grill it for about 4 to 6 minutes, and it says to be sure to pat the fish dry. That says it for all of them. Be sure to oil your grates, or the fish could stick to them and it could all rip apart and fall apart. And to make sure it's thoroughly preheated before you put the salmon on, or that could mess up the fillet or the fish steak as well. So again, trying to get to 145, 4 to 6 minutes either on the grill or in the oven. To pan sear it, you heat your pan to medium-high heat. You add a small amount of oil. I'm curious, do you add oil before you heat your pan or after?
If I'm lazy or if I'm in a hurry, I kind of just do both. Most of the time, I try to heat up the pan first. But sometimes I'm just like in a whatever mood, and I'll just throw it all together, and then I'll just turn it on.
I've always just thrown it all together. In the recent years, I've started making sure that the oil and the pan are up to heat. But it wasn't until recently. I know I've talked to you about pots and pans, and the instructions I've read with stainless steel is that you heat the pan up completely, and then you add the oil and you swish it around. And I've never considered adding oil after it's heated, but I guess a lot of people say that's the way to do it. New to me, whatever. So,
honestly,
anyways,
I haven't noticed a significant difference as long as you get the oil hot enough. That's really it. As long as like the oil is hot enough and it's actually like kind of lubricated around the pan, to me, I have not seen a significant difference.
And you don't want it so hot that it's smoking either. So somewhere in the...
Yes. Depending on the oil. I mean, depending on what you're doing for fish, probably not recommended.
Yeah. So medium-high heat, add a small amount of oil, make sure it's patted dry. Now, this one's a little bit different. It says to cook one side about 4 to 5 minutes without moving. And that's like skin side down, and that's to help crisp up the skin side. And it did say, again, hungryroot.com said that it should be about 3/4 the way, two-thirds, 3/4 the way cooked through. And then you flip it and you cook it for another 3 to 4 minutes to get the other side fully cooked as well. But you don't want to move it for the first 5 minutes on the one side, because if you do, it could screw up the skin. And then the air fry method, set your air fryer to 400 degrees, pat dry. This claims that you brush the fish with oil instead of adding oil to the air fryer or to pan, whatever. And then it cooked for 7 to 10 minutes until it's 145 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've never tried an air fryer, but I do a lot of pan searing, and I've done baking. I don't think I've ever done fish on a grill before, but
it's tough.
I hear it's tough. I figured it probably falls apart easily, but it could probably soak up the wood smoke flavor. Yeah, the smoke flavor pretty well, huh?
It definitely is like what you were saying with the pan searing. Just like a grill, you want to put oil on, I would say, both the grate and the fish itself, and don't move it for a while. You want to make sure that it gets that really good sear. And if you do it right and you do it long enough, it should just flip. It should just lift right off. What happens is people get kind of impatient, and it's still in the cooking process, in the in quote cooking process of that surface. So then it's going to tear.
And then it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
But when you use a slab of wood, is that usually for a barbecue grill too? If you want to...
The cedar planks. A lot of people do the cedar plank where you soak it in water first.
Yeah.
Then you put the cedar plank on the grill. It heats up and you cook it on top of it.
I've never done that, but I've had fish on a cedar plank, and it's fantastic. It's delicious. I love it.
It's great, yeah.
It's just I've never done it. So that's all I have for salmon. But yeah, I'm curious to try the air fryer, and it's just embarrassing that I haven't done it on a grill yet. I think that should be pretty something I should know how to do.
Quick cooking PSA moment that I will say. I know food safety, cook it to 145, but as a culinarian, don't forget about the carryover heat. So I would recommend 135, pull it off, then let it rest. That carryover heat is going to keep heating up your food, and then the internal temperature will gradually reach 145. Because if you cook it to 145, pull it off the heat, carryover heat hits, now it's going to be like 155, 160. And that's why it's dry. And that's why people don't say that they don't like fish.
And turkey. Turkey is, I have spent so many hours researching turkey, and I'm so scared of foodborne illness. And like, if I'm smoking a turkey, getting my friends all sick. But like, a couple things, like true smokers will smoke their turkeys overnight. The problem with that, they'll smoke it at like 225. But if you smoke it that low, it's in the danger zone too long. So the FDA says don't do that. You're going to get sick. You're going to get people sick. But like diehard turkey smokers, like they'll say that's the best way to do it. I've read pros and cons to it, but the biggest con is it's in the danger zone kind of a long time.
I do have, so I'm not an expert on this. So definitely do your research. Don't take our word for this. But the thing is, we kind of talked about this before. It's the same principle as sous vide. Mm-hmm. So there is a chart somewhere on the USDA or FDA that's it's not. So when you cook something and you kill the bacteria and you make it safe, there is a table for time and duration. Mm-hmm. So chicken and poultry, for example, they always say 165 because at 165, it's once you hit 165, it's safe.
Yeah.
But if you decrease the temperature, you just increase the amount of time. So for example, if you cook it to 160, if you hot hold it at 160 for a certain duration of time, that kills the bacteria too. So that actually makes it safe. That's why there's actually sous vide chicken recipes out there at 145. Because if you cook it at 145 and you hot hold it for like, I'm just making up a number. Don't take my word. Do a little bit of research, but it's like 45 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if you cook it so if the chicken breast or whatever is being hot held, if it's cooked to an internal temperature of 145 and it stays that way for a duration of time, it is safe.
Yeah.
So that's the same principle in smoking. It's going at such a low temperature, but it will maintain that safe whatever that safe temperature is. If it gets to 165, it kind of holds it or something,
And I've read that with turkey, if it's so long in the danger zone that the microbes could produce toxins that don't dissipate when it hits 160 or 165. But from everything I read, like, it's not smoking long enough for bacteria to grow and make toxins to that extent. Like, it's not being aged for a week like that, and so that you're eating botulism straight up, right? It's like, you just have to watch out for the E. coli and salmonella. But yeah, I've looked at so many recipes. FDA will say, get it to 165. I heard that when the little thing, like if you're just going by that pop out on the turkey, that's actually getting to like 175 or 180. Like, it's way overkill. But like you said, with the turkey, if you pull it out at 165, it's going to continue heating to 175 or something like 170, 175. And so a lot of people say they pull it out 155, 157, 158, and it will keep cooking up to 165. But like you said, by the time it reaches 157, it's been around like 145, 155 for like an hour, and everything's dead inside or dying inside. 165 is just like the instant death for microbes.
Yes.
So, but yeah, if you're trying to get to there, it's going to be dried out. So it makes sense that with fish too, if you get it to 145, it's going to go up to 155, and you're not going to like it so much. So,
unless you like that dry taste. Unless you like to shred it up and add a bunch of mayo and turn it into salmon salad.
Salmon salad, then yeah, go for it. Each their own.
Actually really good. We actually have our own like little in quote California rule style for like leftover salmon, because leftover salmon, it just gets like overdone and everything like that. So we actually do just reheat it, add some mayo to it, and then we have the seaweed. and then we basically treat it kind of like with a little bit of rice, and we treat it like a California roll, ish.
Mhm.
Because a California roll uses that like fake crab meat, which is basically not crab meat.
The crab look-alike stuff.
But yeah, that's actually a really good way to have salmon if you annihilate it. So basically, just turn it into like a little cooked sushi. So you have like you mix it with mayo, have some avocado, have it with the rice, wrap it up in a little bit of the seaweed. And there you go.
Did I tell you I got a cold smoker? I have an electric smoker, but I got an attachment that like it's supposed to smoke and like do the hot part on the side and then just send the smoke up into the actual smoking grates. And I used it for, I think I did tell you, I made some smoked pepper and salt for Christmas.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to make some smoked salmon. I'm like afraid I'm going to mess it up, but like that's a big thing with it is that you can smoke cheeses without melting the cheese or smoke salmon without cooking the salmon. And I love smoked salmon, so I need to try it out. But,
yeah.
Is smoking a preservative? Like it doesn't heat it up, but it still kills bacteria, right? Like how does that work? Do you know?
I honestly don't really know that part. That's some science level that I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
That's
or if
another
someone
IQ
knows,
point.
shoot us an email.
Yeah. Different day, different IQ point. Okay, so moving on. Leonard is planning on watching Star Wars on Blu-ray that night, and Penny mentions, haven't you seen it 1,000 times? Not on Blu-ray. On Blu-ray, he's only seen it twice. And he calls this high-resolution sadness. I don't think so. I love watching. I'm like collecting 4K movies, and people are like, "You've seen that movie? You own it on Blu-ray. Why are you buying it again?" I'm like, "It's better resolution. I don't know, better sound quality. I love it." Penny invites him to the movies because it sounds like he's going to have a boring night. And Leonard asks if they're able to do that. They dated. Are they able to hang out with each other now? And Penny says it's fine. It's not a date. It's just a man and a woman hanging out with no chance of having sex at the end of the night. And Leonard says that sounds like most of his dates anyway, so not all that different than one of his dates. They get up to the apartment, and Sheldon is yelling for a monster to get away from him. On the inside of the apartment, Sheldon is actually by the window yelling at a bird, a big blue jay that is on the windowsill, and Sheldon is apparently very deathly afraid of birds. Leonard agrees to go to the movies with Penny after seeing Sheldon melting down over the bird. Penny tells the bird, actually, she's walking away and she says, "Don't forget, he's more afraid of you than you are of him." And Sheldon says that doesn't help, and she says she was talking to the bird. So she's trying to help the bird out. Leonard tells Sheldon to just ignore the bird, so Sheldon says that's a good idea, closes the blinds. And by the way, I don't think I've noticed their blinds before, but they have some thick-ass curtains on those windows. They are like blackout movie theater, like, I don't know, blinds. They are curtains, I guess. But the bird squawks behind the blinds, behind the curtains, and Sheldon rushes back to watch it. He says, "Leonard, put on some tea. It's going to be a long night." And we have the intro. So that sets up two stories, Penny and Leonard going to the movies, and Sheldon dealing with a bird on the windowsill. After the intro, we're back at the apartment, and Sheldon is still looking at the bird. He tries to impersonate a cat and starts hissing and waving his hands like claws. And the bird just doesn't give a shit. It's just still sitting there. Then Leonard comes in and Sheldon asks what a hawk sounds like. And they can't really figure out what a hawk sounds like to scare the blue jay away, so that doesn't work out. Leonard asks if he's overdressed. He's kind of wearing like a suit, right? A informal suit, a blazer, button-up shirt. And Sheldon says it depends. If you're having a prostate exam, you're overdressed. If you're playing in Vegas, you probably need some sequins on it. So I like that logic that it depends what. And he doesn't even judge him. He's just like, yeah, if you're getting a prostate exam overdressed, Vegas, not overdressed. They discuss whether Penny will think it's a date. And I like how they go through this. And what do they say? If she thinks Leonard thinks it's a date, or if she thinks he thinks she thinks it's a date, even though she doesn't think it's a date, they're going back and forth. And Leonard says, "Are we overthinking this?" To which Sheldon says, no, they're not. And I'm going to get a point like Sheldon because this is a conversation I could see having in my own head. So it's 1 point like Sheldon, 5.9, overthinking things like dates. Will she think, he thinks, she thinks it's a date, ... So 1 point like Sheldon there. Sheldon questions the blazer that Leonard's wearing, and Leonard takes it off promptly. Sheldon and walks away. Sheldon calls animal control and reports the blue jay as a dangerous animal. They laugh at him. We don't really hear what they say, but they laugh at him. And Sheldon questions the man on the other line, his fears, him being afraid of being stuck in a dead-end job, his wife leaving him because he's stuck in the dead-end service job, or maybe spiders. Everybody has different fears. And then Sheldon says, yes, he did try making cat noises, and hangs up because the guy's just not being very useful. Leonard walks back in. He has a blue t-shirt on and a reverse baseball cap, and asks again if it's the right formality to be dressed in. Sheldon says it's too casual for meeting the Queen, but it's fine for sharing a bottle of wine around a flaming trash can. Leonard then walks away to try again. Sheldon then draws a face on a piece of paper, a cat face, and puts it in front of his like a mask and starts hissing again. Blue jay still doesn't give a shit. And Sheldon turns it over and says, I need whiskers. What was I thinking? I needed whiskers, and starts adding whiskers. So he's trying all these crazy methods to get rid of the blue jay. And I would have to say that at this point, I was kind of like, the story's not getting me, but things escalate, and I do think Sheldon's story gets funnier. At this point, I was just kind of like, this is kind of silly, but it escalates in a good way. We are at the theater with Penny and Leonard, and Penny wants to see the new Jennifer Aniston movie. Leonard, on the other hand, wants to see a documentary about a dam in South America. And I have a little bit about this in a IQ point. I talk about the benefits or not, the dangers of hydroelectricity, and if this is a documentary, but I'll get to that. Leonard decides it's time for him to pick the movie they get to see. He says when they dated, Penny always got to pick the movies, and the running joke in this is that he did this so he could have sex, and that all the movies Penny wanted to see were the exact same. There were beach houses in the rain until the woman of the film turns around and realized love was there all along. And Penny's response is, that's a great movie, and it starts in 10 minutes. So she agrees that that's the same plot to all of her movies, but she likes it. If you like it, why can it go wrong? I always joke with my dad because horror movies all have, like, not all of them, but many of them have the same basic plot. And we were trying to find a movie to watch one time on Netflix, and we were going through the summaries of the horror movies, and like 4 in a row said, a group of friends goes into the woods. A group of friends goes on vacation. A group of friends goes on a cruise. A group of friends. And so now every time like we're thinking of a movie somewhere, we're like, a group of friends. And it's a horror movie, so all the group of friends dies, but that's part of the movie. Leonard says he hates those movies about the house in the rain and the woman realizing love was there all along. And he only saw them because he wanted to have sex. And now he can't see a Sandra Bullock poster without getting bored and aroused. I like that joke. It's like this dichotomy. I'm bored yet aroused. He pretended to like those things, all those things, because he wanted to have sex. And he says, does this sound familiar? I'd love to go shoe shopping. Hiking sounds great. Koreatown at 2 a.m. to go karaokeing with your friends sounds fun. So he was commonly saying, yes, I like to do that because he wanted to get laid. And again, we're at that notion throughout the episode. How do we play up who we are with people to be who they want us to be and to make a good impression on dates? Or because we're desperate, in Leonard's case, he's desperate and wants to have sex. Penny says he would have gotten sex anyways, but she says she wouldn't have slept with him after a 3-hour documentary on dams. Nobody would. So maybe he wouldn't have gotten as much sex. She admits that he's kind of right to some extent if he didn't do what she wanted. Leonard says that this is great because they can watch the documentary since sex is off the table. He can be himself and there's no judgment. Well, there's going to be, but no judgment. And he says, let's go see why hydroelectricity might not be the bargain we think it is. So I do IQ 0.2 here because it's been my impression that hydroelectricity is like one of the best, most efficient and affordable ways to get electricity in Pacific Northwest. I believe like the good majority of the Pacific Northwest gets its power from hydroelectricity. And have you ever been up to like Marble Mount or Diablo?
No, I haven't.
It is, first of all, Lake Diablo is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen anywhere on this earth. And, you know, I've been to Iceland, I've been to France, I've been to museums, I've been to England, I've been to Japan, I've been to South America, and Lake Diablo just, it's like in the mountains, in the Cascades, and it's just like nestled in, and you get to like a cliff, and it's just picturesque, like glacial blue lakes that are just so bright and amazing. And apparently, if you ever heard of the game Alan Wake, if you ever played that, there's a scene where you're a writer and you're going to a cabin and you go into the mountains and there's this lake with a cabin on it. And they apparently stole the imagery from Lake Diablo for the video game. And so the first time I saw Lake Diablo, like, I've been here before. Oh, it's just a video game. But right next to it, there's it's not Marble Mount. I forget what it's called. There's a little town that's like, it's like a government town, a military town, and it's mostly based on keeping the dam working. And I can't remember the name of the town. I should know this. But there's like a hike you can go on, not a hike, but a little path that you can follow by the dam at night. And when it was made, they built this hike to kind of show off electricity. So it's like a remnant from like the 50s with like little light shows and lights like blinking like blue and green. And like, it's like, wow, very retro. And I feel like I'm in Fallout. Like, it's so weird. But it's cool. The dam is beautiful. Lake Diablo is just up a little bit more. You have to do it during the summer because they shut the road down. In the winter was Highway 20, but beautiful. And again, I thought that hydroelectricity, it doesn't create pollutants like coal. It doesn't run the risk of radioactive meltdowns like Chernobyl. I guess wind power is really good too, but I've heard that it has some noise pollution and it fucks with birds. But apparently I wanted to look into what are the problems with hydroelectricity. And also, is this film real? And I swear they said the film was like 3 hours long. And this is 2011. I saw no documentaries that meet these criteria. I did find one called Patagonia Rising that came out in 2011, but it's an hour and 25 minutes long. And it's about 5 dams on 2 rivers of Patagonia, Chile, and the dangers and problems that they've created. So they're probably referencing something like that, or maybe they just made it up. I don't know, but I couldn't find anything specifically.
Probably just making it up for the effect.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. But I was curious if I was missing a movie that it was supposed to be that I'd never heard about. So I went to a website, AmericanRivers.org, about the issues with dams. And from what I could see, the problem isn't dams. Functional dams that we're actually using aren't the problem. They had statistics, and they said less than 3% of dams in the U.S. provide hydroelectric power. So fewer than 3% are actually being used for electricity and are useful. 19% are flood reduction dams. 18% of dams in the U.S. are for water supply and irrigation. And then like the rest are a mix of dams that serve no purpose or aren't used anymore and are falling apart. And so the website was more about like, we have all these old dams, and they had numbers. I want to say there was like a couple 100,000 dams in the U.S. And again, the majority of them are just there taking up space and causing problems. And when you have a dam, they pointed out some of the issues that they can damage ecosystems and habitats. They can cause fish who depend on flowing water to die because flowing water keeps rivers clean. You can imagine if water's flowing, it pushes contaminants down, but if it's stagnant, it starts growing shit and building up chemicals. So yeah, the fish start dying due to dams. Dams increase temperatures of water because it's not moving and the cool water doesn't keep moving, and yeah, it allows heat to build up, I guess. It lowers oxygen because it's not moving and churning as much. Increases toxic algae, and it releases stagnant water, releases methane. And I didn't realize this, but they said methane is 80% more potent for greenhouse gas contamination than carbon dioxide. So methane, and I have heard methane being a problem with global climate change because of cows and how much methane cows release. So I have heard that, but I didn't realize that dams contribute to methane because stagnant water releases methane. And again, the website never said that dams should never be used. At no point in this video I watched did it say we should use nuclear energy. It just said that we're kind of, we have a lot of dams that are just doing nothing and falling apart. We should get rid of them. Also, they disrupt cultural practices and food sources for indigenous tribes, indigenous peoples, and their traditions and practices. So technically it disrupts people who have been using those streams and water sources for centuries and centuries. And so the website suggests moving dams that are harmful and getting rid of them that aren't needed anymore, that they do cause problems. But again, it seems like every form of energy has some sort of problem. You know, with solar energy, it's great because I guess we just put solar panels out and it absorbs energy, but we have to have batteries to store it. The batteries are lithium, and lithium has a whole shit ton of problems. You know, again, with the windmills, noise pollution disrupts birds and wildlife. Hydro dams, I guess there's problems. And I guess in the documentary that they talk about, the problem in the documentary, this fictional documentary that Leonard wants to see, is that the people who live there want to use the water sources because it's part of their cultural practices, and it's displacing the people who live there. So all power comes with a price, I suppose. Penny, that's the IQ point. So we can move on, unless you had something else to say about dams.
No? I had nothing on dams.
Nothing. Damn, no damn information.
Aw, dang. Damn.
Damn. So Penny agrees to see the movie, and Leonard asks Penny to pay for her ticket. It's not a date. She gets to pay for her stuff, which is totally fair. Back at the apartment, Raj and Howard are ready to watch Star Wars, but Sheldon is still messing with the bird. And this is kind of weird because they came over to watch the movie, but then they kind of disappear, which makes me think that Sheldon's so caught up with the bird that they just leave, but I don't know what happens with the movie.
I was wondering about that too. It's like,
right? They just disappeared. And then later, Bernadette and Amy come over. I'm like, how did they get it? Oh, well, it's a funny story, so I can go with it. Howard says that if they don't start soon, George Lucas will change the film again. And this is my third and final IQ point. I thought I was going to be able to list the changes, but it became clear that George Lucas has made hundreds of changes for multiple versions of the movie. So like, what did I find? Lucasfilmfandom.com. Basically, we're seeing partial changes. They have a partial list of changes, but I have some major specific ones, but overall changes like in voices, voice actors who are voicing people, lines of dialogue from alternate cuts being included, mix and match, sound effects, music being there or not being there, and even like just adding beeps for robots, R2-D2 adding a beep here and there. Some versions were time compressed, either for television, VHS, or Laserdisc. There was a special edition, like director's cut. Like, as bad as Blade Runner was, and I think we've talked about Blade Runner, this seems infinitely worse, that he was just changing things almost without, maybe with rhyme and reason, but without much direction. I don't know. It seemed very all over the place. And then I read that. Did you ever use a laser disc? Have we talked about laser discs?
I think we've talked about that, and I've never used a laser disc.
My dad had a laser disc player, and he had one laser disc movie. It was like the weirdest, like most random movie to have on Laserdisc. It was Stephen King's movie Christine, which is about the car that kills people.
Yeah.
It's like, why? But a Laserdisc was basically, my understanding, it was the same material as like a CD, a compact disc, but it was the size of a record, of vinyl. And so it was like a vinyl compact disc, and it had a movie on it. So it was like a digital movie. And then with the advent of DVDs, it was a better quality with more compressed stuff. So you could get the size of a CD, but all the data of the movie on there. Compressed to some extent, because when Blu-rays came out, we got the high def. But Laserdisc were the first, like, as far as I know, digital format for movies, even though it was like a huge CD and very, very awkward to use and not great. But apparently one version on Laserdisc had a 2.1 ratio. I've never heard of a movie having a 2.1 ratio. Widescreen, I believe, is 2.35 to 1. Full screen is 1.33 to 1. So a 2 to 1 ratio is somewhere between widescreen and full screen. Like just a random version with a random change. But anyways, I did get a list of changes, and then I learned something over Christmas break. I was reading a story and something came up, and I never realized that. So there's a note that I have on the end of this to share something that I thought was interesting. But some of the most major changes that George Lucas made to the movies was the Han shot first debacle. And originally, when Han Solo's coming into a trap, he pulls his gun and shoots the bounty hunter Greedo in the 1977 version first. Then in a special version, or a special edition version, George Lucas made it so that Greedo fires first and misses Han Solo, who then shoots. Then apparently in the 2000s version, they shoot almost simultaneously, but Greedo like slightly shoots first. And there's been a lot of complaints because apparently Han Solo shooting first has a lot to do with his character and his character progression of shoot first, ask question later, I guess, type of personality. And also it kind of belittles him that somebody could get the upper hand and pull, quicker draw than him. There are a lot of complaints about it, but
I know. I always complained about that too, because I know I've seen all these different versions, and I do remember the one where Greedo shoots first. It's like, dude, he's like 2 feet away from you. How'd you miss?
How'd you miss? Right? Yeah, just completely off. And then a lot of complaints because George Lucas invested in T-shirts that said Han shot first. So he was like, he made the change and then he stirred the fire. Weird. Another change is CGI being added to replace the older effects with flights and space scenes, and then also lightsaber effects being updated over the years. Major one, I don't know why this pisses me off so much, but after the Phantom Menace 1, 2, and 3 actually came out, Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, is that right? Came out, and newer versions of Return of the Jedi, they replaced Anakin Skywalker's ghost with Hayden Christensen to match up with the guy who played him in the first 3 movies. And I don't know why that bothered me so much, but I did not like that change. And I can't say I've seen it that many times since that change, but I remember seeing it at least once with him. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So the next change, apparently in A New Hope, there's been an added scene, and I don't remember this. It wasn't there originally, but Han Solo in the original talks about Jabba the Hutt, but doesn't see him. There has been a scene. Oh, there we go.
The fire war. Yep, Seahawks just won.
Yep. I'm hearing some stuff in the background.
I heard a little. It was very faint, though.
It's probably going to be. There you
Ooh,
go.
that one's a loud one. I guess. Okay, we'll premise this, everyone. We're recording this early. Seahawks just beat the Rams.
Which means they're going to the Super Bowl. Is that right?
Yep, Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. Ryan is in Washington State, so lots of Seahawks fans.
There's a few. And even though fireworks are illegal, you're going to hear them.
Yep, so everyone, that's what those little booms are.
It's not my stomach, I promise.
I'm not farting.
I'm not farting.
Well, not that time. Wink, wink.
Not that frequently. Han, apparently in A New Hope, in a newer version, a scene got added with CGI where Han does meet Jabba the Hutt, and he's in the film, and apparently they edit the footage together so he like steps on Jabba's tail or something. I don't know. But I don't even remember the scene. I'm sure I've seen the updated version, but I remember the older one more, and I'm like, Jabba was never in A New Hope, but apparently they added him. Apparently there was a scene that they've added where Darth Vader screams no before he turns on the Emperor in Return of the Jedi and throws the Emperor overboard, right? Something about the Emperor's face has been altered and changed over time.
Yes, in Empire, he was somebody else in a hologram. It was a completely different face. I remember this so vividly and clearly because I had the original trilogy on VHS, and I wrecked that shit. So then when like all the new stuff came out, and now I've watched it like 1,000 times on Blu-ray because I had the Blu-rays, and now it's on Disney Plus. So it's like you just, you watch it, but now it's all the updated version. So I'm seeing all these changes now, and some are fine and some just piss me off.
That Hayden Christensen one, I don't know why that one pisses. It shouldn't matter that much, but for some reason, I was not a fan. Oh no. There. I heard one whistling.
I didn't even hear that one, so I think we're good.
So the Emperor had a different face in one of them. Some more character information, and I'm not getting into all of these, but some side characters had more information, some more reflection. In Empire Strikes Back, there's a better Wampa attack and more Wampa action, I guess. More Wampa. But yeah, so those were kind of the main ones, but the list goes on and on. The side note that I just read over Christmas, well, two things about this. One, I read that part of the reason that George Lucas waited so long to release episodes 1, 2, and 3, like I remember when I was a kid, when I first saw New Hope, I figured he had given up on the trilogy and those were just the 3 episodes and the rest was just like made up. And in high school, I'm like, holy shit, like the impossible is happening. But from my understanding, he always planned on making the rest, but something happened with licensing for all the products went horribly wrong with the first trilogy, and he was waiting for the licensing to expire so that he could get better negotiations with the licensing for the next 3 and relicensing of all Star Wars stuff so he could make more money. I'm like, I don't know how true that is, but it made a lot more sense of why he made the conscious decision to wait like a decade, or maybe it was less than a decade, to release the next 3. But the thing I learned over Christmas is, and apparently you can still find, so it's rare, but you can find a poster of this, that Return of the Jedi was not their original name. It was Revenge of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Jedi. Yep.
And they thought that revenge isn't a Jedi thing. That's about hate. So Return of the Jedi was what they changed it to. And I never knew that. So that was my IQ point for the day.
Well, another small thing is when you say Revenge of the Jedi, it refers to Luke, but Return of the Jedi, it's actually about Darth Vader.
Yeah.
His return to becoming Anakin.
That's absolutely that. You would think that it's at least it's twofold with Return, that returning to the Jedi Order. Yeah, so very good choice that they made there. Revenge would have sounded a lot more violent.
Yeah,
it made less sense, right?
It would make sense in the lore of a Jedi.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've been I think I mentioned this to you. They have those little golden books. Did you buy any of those for autumn yet? The little
We have a
golden. We
couple.
grew up with them, but they
Yeah.
have a Star Wars series one, which I got for Hunter when he was born, and he didn't really care about them as a newborn or anything like that. But lately, he's been like super into them. So I've been reading them like nonstop. So like all
Sorry,
these
just
storylines are.
Spell off.
Oh. Yeah, so we have the little golden books of Star Wars. So I've been reading them like nonstop, and Hunter's super into them. So all these stories are so fresh on my mind. And as I read them, I think about the movie, and it's funny how they change it so much because it's meant for like little toddlers and everything like that. So they don't talk about killing anyone. They don't talk about like severely hurting anyone. But there is one that I do have to call out that pisses me off so much. Empire Strikes Back. There's so many little errors that I don't know if it's just because I'm being nitpicky for being such a big fan, but it's the one is the Mandela effect. How Darth Vader never says, "Luke, I am your father."
Yeah,
he just says, "No, I am your father." But in the little golden book, it says, "Luke, I am your father." That hurts me every time. I know it's a small thing. And the second thing is they keep calling Cloud City Bespin. Cloud City is not Bespin. Cloud City is a giant, like, city that floats around Bespin.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, stop calling it Bespin. And they call it Bespin like 4 times.
Because isn't that a gaseous planet, and so it has to float?
Yeah. So it's a gas, like Cloud City is a gas mining colony.
Yeah.
That floats around Bespin. But Bespin is like a gas giant. So it's like,
they're not the same thing.
Stop calling it Bespin. Yeah. So every time it just like makes me mad every time I read that book to him.
I just imagine Hunter looking up and your eyes like twitching.
You will understand one day, child. You will. But yeah, he's been so into like Star Wars lately. Like we've been sword fighting where he calls me Darth Vader and he has like his little sword and I have a little lightsaber and we kind of just sword fight and everything. It's fantastic.
It's everything you dream of for being a parent.
This is exactly what I wanted. But yeah, that's what I have on Star Wars. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about in the future.
Right? There's so much. I need to rewatch them. Although I want to watch the old ones, and I feel like, how do you watch the old ones if only the new ones are streaming, right?
You can go on eBay and buy the VHS.
I do have a VCR still, so
I'm so mad that I got rid of them. Like it was one of those things in one of my great purges, like as I was moving from one place to another. You know, it's like you just ditch things, and that just didn't make the cut. And this was like before like the hype of it came back and everything like that, you know, like, and I had the Blu-rays, so I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just do this. I don't even have a I don't even have a VCR, so it's like, even now, I don't even have a VCR.
I have a couple.
I'm shocked that you have a VCR.
My dad had it, and I don't know why he had it, but it's one of the like last VCRs they made. So like it has a not component. What was the step above component with like the blue, the green, and the video? Maybe it is video component.
I don't know.
So it's like the plugins on the back. It's not just yellow, red, and white. It's got like the 6 colors. And so it's like an HD VCR, right? Big deal. But he wasn't using it anymore. And there were some movies that I wanted to watch with Kelsey, and she had gone to a antique store and got some weird like McDonald's cartoons that she wanted to watch. So he's like, "Oh, you can borrow this." So I've just held on to it for like 4 years.
Be careful, one of them could be The Ring.
Let's put this in. Oh, now we're gonna die in 7 days. So yeah, I have some that I don't even know if like I don't think you can get them on DVD. There was one that just got released digitally called Judas Kiss with Carla DeJolio. What's her name? The woman from I know from The Haunting of Hill House. But I always mispronounce her name. Gugino, Gugino. The mom from Spy Kids. That's how most people know her. The mom from Spy Kids.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she's in it. She's who was the Snipe from Harry Potter?
Snape,
yeah.
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman is in it, and it's so like surreal because he plays a like New Orleans or like Louisiana investigator, and
he does the accent,
and he tries to do the accent, and it's so like he's like, "How you doing today?" It's so weird, but it's kind of a noir murder mystery ransom thing. But I love it. But for the longest time, not available digitally, not available on DVD. I had a recording from like HBO. So I was watching it on VHS, and that's why I had a VCR if I wanted to watch that. And a couple other ones. One of them is Final Fantasy had like a cartoon show when I was a kid, and I don't think it ever got released on anything but VHS. And so I've heard that you can actually get your VHSs converted to DVDs or Blu-ray. So I might do that because I don't want to lose them, right? Like there's no other way to watch them. And
yeah.
If I do it,
nobody else probably has these. It's probably just going to be lost in time,
right? And when I mention it, people are going to be like, "That never existed, Ryan." But God damn it did.
I will show you. I also have the copy of Shazam.
Shazam. I put it in a tape, and it's the goddamn ring.
I have the copy of Sinbad as Shazam. Or is it Kazam? One of those.
Right, you just keep showing the Ring video to everybody. Yeah, it's Shazam. It's 7 days.
We all go down together. Well, speaking of like Louisiana like murder noir, have you seen the new Knives Out?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, so good. I watched it on the plane when I was in going to and from Seattle.
I really like
good. Daniel Craig is like fucking great. He's
really good.
Oh, he's so good.
It's like that right balance of humor, but like action a little bit. Like it's a good. I'm looking forward to watching
all of them. I liked all three of them.
Yeah,
but this one's good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about Star Wars?
We could go on forever and ever on Star Wars. I love it so much, but we will stay with Big Bang Theory and stay on course.
If this is going to be anything, it's going to be a food podcast, but Star Wars is a close second.
Yep.
All right, so Sheldon asks for help with his tone generator, and it looks like this big machine that he's pointing right at the bird. Sheldon explains his issues with birds, and he says, follow him through his life. First memory he has is a hummingbird dive bombing him in his stroller to get at his apple juice. He mentions hummingbirds are the vampires of the flower world. I don't know why that made me really laugh. I like that line, vampires of the flower world. And then Raj says that a hummingbird's his choice for an ankle tattoo or a dolphin. He goes back and forth. Age 7, a chicken chases Sheldon up a tree. And I'm not giving myself a point. I'm not scared of birds, but I do agree chickens are complete assholes. They peck you. They are mean. I have a coworker who has chickens, and we were at his house for a barbecue last summer, and they like basically chase Kelsey. We kind of have to go and smack him, like, stop pecking us. They're aggressive little bastards. Age 12, a magpie tries to steal Sheldon's retainer right out of his mouth. Age 16, a parrot at the store calls him a fat ass. And he says he could go on. And Raj says, do go on. This is better than the movie. So I like it. Dude. The death ray is ready, though, the tone generator. And Sheldon explains it's not a death ray. If it were, he'd be living in his lair on the money he'd get from not using his death ray on people. So he apparently would be an evil villain if he had a death ray. He turns it on, and instantaneously the windows all just shatter. Right, not shatter, but they crack. They splinter.
Yep.
And I remember
I did do an IQ point on this.
On glass shattering?
On the tone generator and if the glass can actually shatter.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember somebody doing this as an experiment in elementary school, and it took like 30 minutes, but they were able to get it loud enough and the right frequency that it didn't, like, not like that, but there was like a crack or something. But at that point, we were all bored anyways. Although one time I was on a tour in New Zealand, and I don't know if it was a frequency. We don't know what it was, but we were on a tour in New Zealand, going to see like where Lord of the Rings was filmed and Wolverine and shit. And we were like taking a picture, and our tour guide was taking our picture, and we look at the back windshield, and just like their windows, just like splintered like that. And we're like, does that happen? He's like, I don't know what just happened. Why did my car break? He was not happy. He's like, my boss is going to be mad. And I'm like, what? That's something. So I guess stuff like this can happen, but I'm curious what you got.
Yeah, so I wanted to know more about high frequency tone generators and if something like this can actually shatter the glass. So a tone generator is a device that produces pure electronic tones at a specific frequency. It's a foundational tool with applications that span across music, electronics, and even medicine. And what Sheldon is doing is actually a thing. To scare birds away, many people have resorted to ultrasonic bird repellents. There is no one frequency, though, that will push away all birds. It all depends on the type of bird, the proximity, and your environment. And the efficacy of this method is very debatable. I've actually seen this exact same thing with rodents, where they actually sell like a little tone generator thing to repel rodents, and that's been debunked. I've seen many videos and evidence that shows that it doesn't work.
We used to have those in my basement in Pennsylvania, but for spiders. And I remember watching spiders crawl over it. I'm like, that is a piece of junk. The spider's like, oh, fuck this thing. I like this noise.
Yeah. I'm feeling this beat. But generally speaking, the range to repel a bird is somewhere between 0.2 and 4.5 kilohertz. So it's in the range of capabilities of a high-frequency tone generator, as a high-frequency tone generator actually maxes out at 20 kilohertz. So the higher the hertz, the higher the pitch, basically. And for some perspective, adult males' regular speech is somewhere between 90 and 155 hertz. Adult females' regular speech is somewhere between 165 and 255 hertz. So then, knowing this, and these are kilohertz, so that high frequency is like in the thousands. So it's like way higher than what we could ever become.
Can we even hear up that high? I think that's above what we can hear, right?
And that's what goes into the next part, the amount of decibels. So, which is the overall volume of the sound. So a normal conversation is usually around 50 to 60 decibels. And if you shout, it can range from 70 to 85. And then it could go up to 125 depending on how intense you are. And some more perspective, a smoke detector will range from 520 to 300 hertz. So, can a high-frequency tone generator actually crack the glass? And the answer is yes. So, in order to crack the glass with sound, the sound must match the glass's natural resonant frequency. So, it needs to match it. It's like what you were saying earlier. Like, it actually needs to match the glass, and then it can crack it, which is around 556 hertz. Or upwards of 1,000 for thicker glass. And it needs to be sufficiently loud, which for glass, it requires to be 105 decibels. So knowing this, And knowing what it takes to repel a bird, they must have not gone high enough in frequency to push the bird away, because they cracked the window glass. It means that they're in the same frequency. So high enough to crack the glass, but not high enough to move the bird. Since we established that birds actually require like a lot more in order for it to like actually hear it and to be like, okay, I'm going to go.
And that's if the bird cares at all anyways. And I just be like, oh, fuck yeah, I like this music.
Yeah. Yeah. But a little fun fact in my research, I learned that many tone generators are used to actually help relax people. It helps people get into a zen-like state. If you were to match the machine to the Earth's natural frequency, it'll actually put you in a relaxation mode. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I remember we had the IQ point about saying before, right? And that that noise is a frequency that mellows us out. Really, it's interesting how that works. I guess that works too, that when people say windmills have noise pollution that scares away birds, that it could be a higher frequency, because I always think that windmills are really quiet except a whoosh whoosh, right? But since birds hear on different frequencies or whatever it might be, it's causing more problems that we can actually see or hear. But yeah, those noise generators for rodents and spiders did not work very well.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they don't just put out a regular trap.
Yeah, it's a lot more efficient. In theory, it's really nice. You put those up and it just keeps them away. I wish they did work, but man, it's never worked.
It does not.
I wish I knew it. I want to say I was like in third grade when they tried that experiment at school. I just remember waiting and they're like, well, we got to get it just right. And at that point we were like, falling asleep, and then we were pop. And it's like, oh, it worked. That was amazing.
Okay, cool. Can we leave now?
I want to go home. You've got this here for days.
To watch Star Wars on VHS.
Thought there was something else to say. Oh, well. Anything else on tone generators?
Nope, that's
plays. Cool. All right, so the window shatters, the bird doesn't move, and we move on, and we are at a cafe. It's after the movie. Leonard and Penny are talking about the movie. Leonard says Penny must have liked it. She teared up at one point, but she claims that she was crying because everyone else in the town got to leave, but she had to stay. So, well, I think she actually cared about it, but she's pretending to dislike it. But I do like that joke that, why did I have to stay? Leonard is going to go get fries, and Penny says she doesn't want any, but he brings up the fact that he always gets them, and then she takes his fries. And she says, well, I only eat the parts the small crispy ones that you don't want. He goes, no, I love those. I save them for the last, for the end, but they're always gone because you've eaten them all. So she finally agrees. And they bring up too, why did he let her eat them all? Because he wanted to have sex. But that's off the table, so he can actually complain now. It's not a date. She orders fries, and he says, okay, that'll be $5. So he's making her pay for her fries, too. Which, again, it is not a date, so that's fair. It's kind of weird that she's not offering up anyways, right? That she should be offering. Penny turns around and starts flirting with a guy who's writing a screenplay. His name is Kevin. And we have a guest actor, Blake Barris, and I didn't really recognize him for anything. He's been in a lot of single episodes. It seems like he was in some of Days of Our Lives, but I don't watch that, so not really sure. He was in some films where I knew other people in the films, but I haven't seen the movie. Yeah. Did you know him from anything? Did he look familiar?
No, I saw that he was in Breaking Bad, but I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, I just did not look familiar.
Days of Our Lives. Ooh, 479 episomes.
He has been in a shit. Like, he must have started as a kid, right? Yeah. Like, oh my God. How many do they have those a year? I mean, it can't be more than one a week. So you're looking at 10 years or something at least. Damn. Yeah, he must have started as a kid on that. So he's writing a screenplay because his roommate has kicked him out. His roommate is having sex in their apartment, which I'm guessing it must be a 1-bedroom apartment or dorm or something because Leonard has sex in his room. So
like some sort of studio where he sleeps on the couch.
And I'm curious, do you think that's acceptable to kick a roommate out for a little while saying, hey, I'm going to get lucky. Could you leave for a few hours? Have we talked about this?
We haven't, and I think as long as it's not a regular practice, I will say it did happen to me in college once, and I was fine with it because the guy was with a girl that he really liked. He ended up starting a relationship, and one day we were all kind of just drinking and like hanging out in the room, and then I could tell that something was going to happen, so I volunteered and just left. Was like, okay, I'll go to the living room and just sleep. It's fine.
I remember.
And if it's like a regular thing, if this was happening like every week or something like that, I'd be like, bro, go somewhere else. Go to her place.
That's totally fair. I remember, and I've talked to people, and some people are like, no, you don't do that. I'm like, I think it's totally reasonable. I would leave. If you want some privacy, I can get lost for a few hours. But I remember my college roommates, and I felt guilty, although I'm like, why do I feel guilty? I would have done it for them. My first roommate, who I didn't even know the guy, I got paired up with him. Like he would go out on Friday nights and like get plastered and like show up at like 3 or 4 in the morning or something. And there was one weekend, my high school girlfriend came up to see me, and he got, I guess, completely wasted and showed up at like 11 o'clock or something. Like he hammered very quickly, and like every other weekend he had chosen like 3 or 4 to come back, and I'm like, could you give us like 30 more minutes? And he's like, and he walked away for a little bit and came back like 20 minutes later. So he did give us some more time, but I could see he was aggravated. But it's kind of weird
he
that
wasted. He was probably expecting to just go to sleep.
It's just I had talked to him before. It wasn't a surprise, and I don't know why he would get hammered on that one. That one night I wanted privacy.
Oh, and if you told him, if you gave him a heads up, it's like, fuck you then.
He was a nice guy. We just didn't mesh very well. And it was things like that. And then I had a good friend from high school that I roomed with, and I remember he was nice about it, but it's kind of some of his friends complained to me about it, that there was a night or two throughout, we roomed together for like 3 years or something. There was like 1 or 2 nights where I asked him to leave for a few hours so that I could, and I felt kind of guilty about it. And people have told me like, you should feel guilty. That's really rude. But at the same time, I'm like, I would have no problem. It's like one night, like I will find something to do for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
There's plenty to do.
If it's like just sporadically, like a couple times a year or something like that, then whatever. Yeah. Just don't make it a weekly thing.
A weekly thing, go get a hotel room or some shit. But
go in a car.
So I was curious of what you had to think about that. This guy seems like he's on the side of it's bullshit, and it might be frustrating, but as long as this is a one-time thing, it might be inappropriate to say you wish your roommate gets, what was it, crabs? Like that's a little, but whatever. But yeah, if you're listening out there, give us your stories. Do you have stories? Did you have to leave? Did you ask somebody to leave? Do you think this is right? Do you think it's wrong? I know there's the jokes about ties on the doorknob or whatever. Have you ever experienced this? Curious what your thoughts are. So, okay. Kevin is frustrated, and Penny tells Kevin she's not on a date with Leonard, so she is free to talk to him and starts flirting with him. And we're back at the apartment. Sheldon is alone, and the bird is screeching at him. And he says he's a full-grown man from Texas. He shouldn't be scared. This isn't even a swan or a goose. It's just a big old blue jay. And he goes into a closet, comes out with a Boba Fett mask. And I'm assuming it's Boba Fett. It's not like Jango Fett, right? It's
Boba Fett.
Yeah, it looked a little blue, but I think it was supposed to be green, or maybe my screen was. Jango Fett's like a blue mask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue, like multicolor, but more blue. Yeah.
So Boba Fett, and comes out with a mask and the broom. and he's going to open the window and shoo at him. But as soon as he opens up the window, the blue jay flies inside, sits right on the couch in his spot. And Sheldon screams, no! So things have gone the bad from worse. And I love that the bird mocks him by sitting in his spot on the couch. And I can say, too, that I didn't give myself a point for this, but I would not be scared of the birds. But I would be kind of scared of them having parasites or shitting inside my place. Because that can be bad and it can have parasites. And I am scared of parasites. So we are back at the cafe, and Penny is flirting with Kevin about the amazing documentary she just watched. I love that she spins this in her favor. Leonard is sitting there like, what the fuck? He starts talking to Penny, calls her up to talk to her, and says that she's just talking to him, and she's going out of her way to talk to him because this isn't a date. And Penny claims that Kevin's actually cute. He's wearing a dorky t-shirt and hipster glasses. And Leonard is kind of like, that's exactly what I wear, right? And it's true, but I love that she like stabs it a little bit and says, well, he's tall and has great cheekbones, so he's doing it ironically. It's
so
like,
this is something I do have a problem with in this episode, where it's like not really asking someone to like leave for like sex or anything like that, but it's if you go out with a friend and they purposely ditch you in the middle of the hangout, that's where I kind of have a problem. Like imagine if you and me were hanging out and then all of a sudden you saw a girl and like you ditched me to like go flirt with her. I'd be like, bro, you just left me high and dry. I mean, good for you, but at the same time, it's like we were supposed to hang out.
Unless you have like a really good conversation and the other person is like, you go get her. I understand, play wingman, but for the most part, if you had plans and it's supposed to be a one-on-one, like, yeah, I would have a problem with that too. It reminds me of like when we were kids, like if you ever had a friend and you hung out with a friend and like their friend, or you had two friends to get together and there were three of you and two of them like hit it off and just kind of left you in the dust, and then they started like picking on you and like I don't know, making code words or something, and you were just kind of there. Did you ever have that happen?
Something like that happened once, where I remember I was over at it was like a family friend. He was like not really my friend, but like he was my parents' friend's kid, and I was over at his place. And I remember we were playing like with water guns and everything like that. And no one, like, it was unexpected. And I got wet. They had changes of clothes. So they changed their clothes and went outside, and I was just like left wet. And I was just hanging outside in the sun, like letting it dry. And they were playing video games on the inside. That was pretty fucked up.
That's fucked up. I remember, I must have been like 5. I don't know, but such a weird story and such weird details to remember. But do you remember those inflatable, they're like balloons, but they were like giant crowns that they look like, they look like a crown, but it was like a giant balloon that you blew up, and it was kind of like a floaty.
No? I'm not
sure. Okay, so this is we're talking about like 1988, 89 or some shit. My grandparents dropped us off with a babysitter, my sister and me, and she was hanging out with them, and I kind of got left out and was like sitting by myself. I remember being like, everybody was playing, but they wouldn't let me play with them. And at some point, one of them like picked up one of those crowns and like whacked me with it, and like the end of it was like a hard shell, like the bottom of it, like to keep it like the shape. And that like smacked me in my mouth and like cut my mouth, and I started crying, and I was so upset. I'm like, not only did they fuck me over and leave me out, but they had the audacity to hit me with a fucking inflatable crown that cut my lip. And so like to this day, I'm like, oh, fuck those guys. I have no idea who they were, but I'm still pissed. So I can understand being left out. I have childhood. It's so tragic, right? I was hit with an inflatable tube and I cried.
This is our trauma, guys.
This is a trauma. This is a trauma podcast.
This is so traumatic.
I'm going to look up pictures of those after we're done and send you one.
Wait, so is it an inflatable crayon?
Yeah. I wonder if they still make these inflatable. Doesn't look exactly like that, but I remember it looking a little bit different, but something like this.
I'm seeing them, and I know what you're talking about now, but I don't remember them.
Them.
Yeah.
I remember them looking a little bit different. In fact, the ends look different. The ends on these look rounder. And I remember the ones that we had were like
It's more
very,
spear-like.
yeah, very stiff and rigid on the ends to help them keep shape. And they were probably getting kids whacked in the face with them like me. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like that wouldn't be a problem to be whacked in the face with. But the ones I had, they really hurt. But yeah, I must have been like 4 or 5 years old because trying to frame things. I know we were at my grandparents' house, and the house that they were living in, like they moved out of it when I was in first or second. So yeah, it was definitely like late 80s. It was a while ago. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we? Kind of a bitch move for either of them to break off and start flirting with somebody else when it was supposed to be kind of like a fun night, friend night together, even if sex was
a
off
fun
the table.
hangout to like rebuild their friendships and everything like that.
Yeah. And, it's clear that she is maybe not feeling threatened, but she picked a guy that looked like him or dressed like him and acted like him to kind of make him feel jealous, right? I don't think that was completely coincidental. So there's some characterization there. And she tells him that he should go talk to some girls. There's girls right over there, a whole group. And he hesitates. And I love his reaction. He goes, I'm scared. I'm like, yeah. I can relate to that.
They're in a group. I'm scared.
And I've heard, I hate when people talk about the do's and don'ts of flirting and getting to know each other, because for every case, there's always what do they call that? An outlier, an exception, right? There's always an exception. Mm-hmm. People are like, if there's a group of girls, don't go hit on them. They want to enjoy their fun night together. But that's what you do. If you're at a bar, you go up and talk to people. So, if they act like they're disinterested, maybe pick up a clue, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go talk to them. Somebody told me, in fact, I think it was Kelsey, that, in fact, there's notes at coffee kiosks now. You often see notes that say, your barista is paid to be nice to you. Please don't ask for her phone number, right? And I can understand that. And Kelsey's a big advocate for don't hit or ask on somebody who's working. They're being paid to flirt or be nice to you. And like for that, I have some family friends who a guy was on a flight and his now wife was a stewardess. And he hit on her. Now they're married with like 3 kids. I'm like, so you can't tell me it never works. Sometimes you have to know. And, if you're not good at knowing when it's okay, when it's not, then maybe don't do it. But it's not that it's never okay, because I know people who get picked up all the time and don't mind it. A lot of people do mind. I don't know. So anyways, I can see why he's scared, and it's intimidating, and you don't even know if they want people to come up to them. But Penny is definitely saying, go talk to them, right? Now back at the apartment, Bernadette and Amy are there now. So somehow Raj and Howard have left. Bernadette and Amy have come over, and Sheldon is freaking out. He's standing in this doorway, basically shivering with fear. And they don't know what they're supposed to do. Sheldon says they study living things, and birds are living things. Get cracking. They go through a big thing about Amy studies the human mind. Bernadette studies microorganisms. That's completely different than birds. Neither of them have studied birds. Bernadette mentions that she thinks it's somebody's pet because it's really, really nice, and it hops on her arm and is very, very tame. I don't know if it would build a nest and lay an egg if it was somebody's pet, but definitely getting on her arm and being that tame would make me think it probably is. Sheldon says, that's wonderful. Go flush it down the toilet. So I don't know how he expects that to happen. Amy says that he's going to have to get over his fear, just like the mailman. So I don't know what happened with the mailman, but in fact, didn't the mailman say something about to him about women before? What was it? So he talks to the mailman.
Oh, yeah. Bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy. So I don't know when he got over his fear of the mailman, but he's talked to the mailman before.
Maybe it was a different mailman. Maybe that mailman switched out and he was a meaner mailman.
Bitches be crazy.
So Sheldon
Got
doesn't.
your back, Jack. That's what it was. Got your back, Jack. But she's
Yeah.
crazy.
Got your back, Jack. The big one says, "Got your back, Jack." And he mentions that tens of people get killed every year by birds, and he doesn't want to be a statistic.
And I did an IQ point on this.
Oh, good one. I didn't even think about this. How many people get killed by birds?
Well, let's find out. So I found this on birdsinthetrees.com, and this was the only website to really discuss this. Otherwise, most sites go the opposite direction on how humans have been killing birds and our negative effect on the birds, on the bird population.
With the death rays, the frequencies.
Yep. The number is actually a lot higher than what Sheldon says. It's actually in the range of 1,500 to 5,000 human deaths per year. And this is all from, so they're in different categories. So this is actually from bird strikes, where a bird either attacks you or some sort of disease transmission. So this is where you are afraid of birds because they could have parasites and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily like, I think most of it grouped it all together, but the vast majority is disease. Bird strikes really don't happen very often, and a bird strike is when a bird actually attacks you and kills you to like death.
Yeah.
Bird strikes are also part of aviation, where the birds will actually collide with the aircraft. I was gonna actually take that back. I should have looked ahead on my notes. So scratch all that.
And if they take down a whole airplane, that's like half the deaths for the year.
So, like I said, a bird strike, usually aviation, is where a bird or birds will collide with the aircraft. And there are more than 14,000 bird strikes annually in just the United States. So it doesn't mean that people will die, but the plane will get hit by the birds and, they'll have to land. And then disease transmission, think bird flu, which was actually a really big thing in the United States in the past year.
Yeah.
And then West Nile virus and avian influenza.
I was just watching a house doctor show, and there was an episode about this cop who was using bird feces as fertilizer for marijuana. And he was harvesting rainwater that the birds were dipping into, and he was using that to water his marijuana. And he got some sort of parasite that looked horrible. Everything about it, like he first is like kind of hallucinating and laughing, but then it's like extreme pain, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And one of them caught it, and it scared the shit out of me.
Oh, birds. Gross. Yeah, I don't really get birds. Like people, I mean, I kind of get it, but not like all birds. I think birds of prey are super cool. Like going to like the museum and like seeing how like large they really get. That's very impressive. But like when people are just into birds, I don't really get it. I think birds suck.
There's how do you pronounce this? The cassowary. Cassowary?
Oh, the scary looking one. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw one in Australia. I went with some friends in Australia. And
in the wild?
No, it was at a enclosed, I think it was like a rescue zoo. It was mostly for kangaroos. And we went to see the kangaroos. And kangaroos are not as nice as you would think. I remember they gave us some food, and they're like, there's one male kangaroo, and if he comes up to you and wants food, give him everything. Just let him
give him everything and run away.
and he did. He came up to one of my friends and, like, if I remember correctly, like stared at her, and he's like, "Give it to me now." Like, he doesn't speak in English, but we can all tell what he was thinking. And she did, and he jumped away. But they had a cassowary, and Taylor and me were reading the sign. I swear to God, it was like Jurassic Park, where it was telling us about how deadly they are and scary they are. And we hear thump, thump, thump. And we just see the talons underneath the sign. And we look around the sign, and the head comes out like, fuck you guys. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, cassowaries, I could see being scared of those. They're cool, but also terrifying. Oh man, they are big.
Yeah, they're
birds.
huge. Ugh, like scary looking.
And they're not very nice.
Birds in general are just not very nice.
They're really not. Some are nicer than chickens, but chickens, I swear to God, if chickens were bigger than us, that's why I really don't feel guilty at all. Sometimes I feel guilty for eating pork or beef, but with poultry, with chickens, I'm like, if they were as big as us, they would eat us in a heartbeat. They try. They're just not very big or smart. Yeah. So this is survival of the fittest. Okay, anything else about bird deaths?
Nope, that covers it. So I say that Sheldon's fear is just.
At least if he was flying. I think that maybe with the
that could be a diseased bird.
Yeah, diseased bird. Or if he I've heard horror stories about birds or seagulls flying into engines and like and having to land. That is terrifying. So
yeah.
he has some, especially since the bird went straight for his seat on the couch. Mm-hmm. I'd have to Lysol that. All right, so he finally goes up to the bird, and the bird pets the bird and says, "I did it. He's so proud of himself. Now flush it down the drain, flush it down the toilet."
I do like that Bernadette was like so sweet at first and everything, and then she's just like snaps, like, just pet him, big just baby. Pet
him. She had her fill.
Yeah.
Back at the cafe, Leonard is finally talking to a woman named Laura, which he cannot remember her name for the life of him. Another guest star, Ashley Austin Morris, and apparently she was in the movie Sully. She was in an episode of Poker Face. I don't remember from that. She apparently did a voice for somebody in Red Dead Redemption 2 and a lot of other stuff, but I wasn't really noticing anything that I knew of. Did you know anything?
Yeah, she's been in some stuff that, like Poker Face, Inventing Anna, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Desperate Housewives, and I don't remember her at all. And a little meta, she was actually in The Good Wife, and Raj loves The Good Wife.
There you go.
Yeah.
I never watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but I've heard
good.
So many good things. I think I watched like 2 episodes and it like never really clicked. So I'm like, I might try it later, and then never got back to it. But I've never heard one bad thing about it. Everybody's watched it says you'll love it. So I should.
And the girl who plays her manager, who was on like Mad TV, I don't remember her name. She is fantastic. If she didn't win an award, I don't know if she won an award for that show, then that's not justice. It is injustice right there. She was amazing.
So Laura is talking to Leonard, and he's telling her all the things he likes. He likes to hike. He likes going to Karaoke Town. He loves Jennifer Aniston movies. So again, both him and Penny are kind of pretending to be people they aren't, to pick up other people, basically to make each other jealous, it seems like. Penny comes to hang out. Kevin apparently had to leave. I don't know what happened to him. And Laura says, "This must be Penny. I totally get it now." I don't know what Leonard said. And Penny looks confused and asks what they're talking about. But that's apparently between Leonard and, he's forgotten her name, Laura. So what do you think he told her? Just, it didn't seem like they had time to rehash the whole story. And I'm just curious what you thought.
Maybe that she's a very pretty girl, and pretty girls like kind of go do their own thing or something like that. And when she saw her, it's like, yep, she's a pretty girl. I totally get that she would ditch you or something like that.
That makes sense. I was here with a friend, but she's really pretty and ditched me. So that makes sense. I was like, maybe he like rehashed their whole story, and I'm like, that probably would have sent her running if he had gone too deep into. So Penny asks if Leonard has bothered telling Laura that he owns 2 Star Wars uniforms and wears them for more. Or did she say Star Trek?
Star Trek, yeah.
Star Trek. I put down Star Wars. I've just so much Star Wars already.
Star Wars on the brain,
right? Star Trek uniforms and wears them for more than just Halloween. Leonard says, "Did you let Kevin know that you thought Cold Wars were fought only in the winter?" So they're kind of taking jabs at each other very unnecessarily, but it's funny. Penny won't Penny says she won't let Laura know that half of Leonard's dirty movies are animated, which this confused me because first of all, he would have had to have shown Penny his dirty movie collection, and that he would have had to have enough dirty movies for her to notice half of them are animated. Like, how many dirty movies do people keep in their collection? Right? Maybe he only owns 2, and one of the 2 is animated. Like, the whole comment was kind of what's going on there, and she acts like she doesn't mind. It's weird, but at the same time, I can see Laura being off put by that. I am curious. It's been my experience, not just just from hearing people talk about pornography or interest, erotica, that a lot of women are actually more into animated stuff than live action. And my understanding behind this is that a lot of live action is aimed for the male gaze and for male tastes, I guess, and desires, and it's pretty brutal towards women. And women don't really like watching other women get strangled or spit on or whatever. Porn gets weird these days. So usually anime has a little bit more story to it, is a little bit more erotic, I guess, and not just straight bam, bam, apparently. And maybe a little bit nicer to the women in it. But it brought up, I once had a student write a paper on this. I think it was a long time ago, but it was an interesting. I don't think the whole paper was on pornography, but it was on slash. Do you know what slash is?
Like,
especially with fan fiction,
like slasher porn.
Not slasher, like male slash male.
Oh, that's what's called slash.
Yeah. So it's basically homosexual erotica. And I remember being in Japan and walking into a store, and it was like the pornography section, and there were only women in it. And they were all reading hentai, right? And it was kind of funny because I walked in and they saw me and they all kind of walked away very quickly because I guess, I don't know, they didn't want to be seen in there, but I felt embarrassed.
You're a man in their section.
And I was talking to somebody about it, and again, with the student paper I wrote about this, that women often go towards the slash because if they are straight, they like the male physique, but they like men taking care of each other, and they like the relationship that's built, that men can be nice and polite and supportive to each other. And the live action porn that we're used to, at least in the West, is not that. So some interesting stigmas there. I can't say Laura would be into animated stuff, but for the intellectual mind, I think it's weird to say that Leonard's somehow weird because he is into animated pornography, because it's, I don't know, interesting stuff. But yeah, so it's been years. I wish I could find that paper because it was an interesting, what was it on? It was something about fan fiction. It was about fan fiction and how fan fiction spreads like folklore, and fans pick it up and retell stories over and over again. And it's usually posted anonymously and brought in just as part of it, the slash stuff and why that would be popular, especially with female audience as opposed to male audience. So, and with that said, I can also say that I guess it's not animated or manga, but with fan fiction writing, I've been to several writers talking about their books, and it's like romance books. And there's some website for fan fiction, and they talk about it a lot. I don't know enough about it, but they always talk about how people pick up their characters and start going like hardcore into the sex with the fan fiction. They're like, this website's really, oh wow. I forget what it's called. Somebody out there probably knows. But okay, so Penny's called him out for his erotica. Leonard then asks about her job as a waitress. I feel like that's a low blow, but she mentions that he has a lucky inhaler, and he asks her to spell asthma. And she starts.
He took some really low blows.
They both did, but the waitress job, the job one kind of bothered me because you don't do that with a friend. You can joke about the Cold War thing, you can joke about the inhaler, but she's trying her best at her career, and that would probably hurt me if somebody said that about my career. I don't like that. So
that you're just a teacher.
Yeah, like you're just a teacher, or what's that? The only teachers are the people who can't do, or if you can't do, you become a teacher, right?
If you could actually don't agree with, like teaching is so hard. It's a skill. Most people that think that they know how to teach can't teach. There's several people in my direct life that suck at teaching.
Just because you know how to do something doesn't know how you convey that skill set to another human being. It's conveying it as a skill set itself. So I feel like going at her being a waitress, she's making a living and she's trying to live her dream. You can't attack her for that. But she tries to spell asthma and fails. She gives up and says, I'm going to go home. Take me home. So they look over and Laura has gone. She feels like the sexual tension or the whatever going on between these two and has bailed. And Leonard says, okay, it's getting late, and they leave. Back at the apartment, the bird is now on Sheldon's arm, and he's smiling. He's amazed that he has spent so much of his life afraid of birds. Then he realized he hasn't offered the Blue Jay a beverage. It pulls out a little cup, and the Blue Jay starts drinking. Bernadette is reminded, and I didn't get this joke. She's reminded of her grandma with her parrot, and after she lost her marbles with the remote control.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Like, was there something we're missing about her grandma losing her marbles and what remote control? There was something there that seemed deeper that just didn't resonate with me. So if somebody out there knew more about this, or if we're missing something, let us, because it sounded like it would have been a funny joke. I didn't get it. So, all right. So Sheldon says, take a picture and make sure the picture is acceptable for mugs, mouse pads, and a calendar. Sheldon decides to call the bird lovey-dovey, even though it's not a dove. Amy comments that, well, I guess you need a hollow bones in here to get some sugar, so she's getting jealous of the bird, not too happy with that. Sheldon muses on keeping the bird and having it carry messages to his enemies, or to go outside and fly it like a kite. Amy has a cage that he can use. Apparently, they have a free cage at work because a lab monkey slipped on a banana peel and broke its neck. It was tragic and hysterical.
I love that.
Such a weird story. He slipped on a banana peel. Sheldon gets Lovey-Dovey's nest, goes to get its nest because he's like, no, Lovey-Dovey is going to sleep in my room in its own nest. And as he opens the window, the Blue Jay flies away again into the night. Sheldon yells for it to come back. He's already bought bird feed off Amazon and screams for the lovey-dovey that he loves it. So sadness. In the lobby, Leonard and Penny are coming home, and there's a picture of Sheldon on every floor saying, have you seen this bird? So he wants it back and got those printed pretty quickly. And Leonard and Penny see it, but they don't say anything, and they walk pretty quietly up the stairs. And Leonard finally speaks up, saying it was a pretty magical night. Penny says she's not innocent, but he basically called her stupid in public. He apologizes, and I do feel like this is a heartfelt apology that with sex 100% off the table, and they've been building up to this, that he's been doing so much of his life for her to have sex, that by apologizing here, he's doing it because he's legitimately sorry. So very authentic. And Penny apologizes too. Leonard clarifies that sex is off the table, and Penny says way off, so they're not hooking up tonight. And that Leonard's afraid maybe they're just not ready to be friends. And that's something where I'm like, that's probably a conversation they would have had maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, that a few months after they broke up, that I felt like they would have known this already, but a good storyline, just kind of too delayed. Penny says she was enjoying the night, actually, and she enjoyed Leonard being take charge like. And Leonard says, really? Because if that's true, I can put sex right back on the table, being assertive again.
And Penny says maybe she likes that and kind of scoots up to him. And I love Leonard's response. He's like, well, if you like that, I can do whatever you want. Just tell me. I'll be whatever you want. So as soon as she offers sex, he loses his backbone again. She says goodnight, and she leaves. He calls himself an asthmatic dumbass. He comes inside, and Sheldon's sitting there at a table with a blanket and a heating lamp. And Leonard says, I had a weird night. Sheldon says, mine was great. I'm going to be a mommy. And lifts up the blanket. There's a nest with an egg that he's going to hatch. And I wanted to point out that this is kind of weird because I don't remember anybody bitching about this scene. But with The Last of Us last year, everybody online seemed to really complain about what's her name saying, I'm going to be a dad. Do you remember that? Did you see that episode?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like,
I didn't realize that people. Oh yeah, it was like a joke, and yeah. I didn't realize that people had a problem with that.
It seemed like a lot of people had issues. They partially had issues with her being the character at all. Yeah. And I don't know. People like to complain, but I'm like, I thought it was a funny joke, and I didn't think it was really like, I'm going to be the dad now. Like it was, I'm going to be a dad. Same thing as Sheldon saying, I'm going to be a mommy. And it's not the funniest joke, but it's not bad or offensive either. So that's the end of the episode. I just had that note there that I thought it was kind of weird that this is like, 12 years ago, more than that, 13, 14 years ago, and kind of the same joke, the same thought process, yet people are still complaining about it. People like to complain. All right, so that's the end of the episode. We are on the Vanity Card 366, and this is weird because I went to the official Vanity Cards archives online, and it has the wrong Vanity Card. It just has the image. It doesn't have any text, or I didn't see any text on the page. And the image, if you're not seeing it or if you didn't look it up, is kind of an old computer. It looks like a Macintosh, probably from the 80s. It looks like it has floppy disk drives like the big ones. And it's an older computer. It says Chuck Lorre Productions on it. It's on a desk that's kind of messy. An old like square mouse, like a really old brick mouse. A sifter of whiskey on it and kind of a notebook by it. And if you look at this or you go elsewhere to look it up or look at it on the actual episode when it comes up, it does have text under it. It says, the photograph was my vanity card when I was working on Grace Under Fire and Sybil. Sybil?
Sybil.
Wow, I butchered that. Ask me.
I remember watching that like back in the day. I remember, yeah.
I don't recall it. What was that one about?
I don't remember, but I remember watching it.
Do you remember getting whacked in the face with an inflatable crown? Because I do.
Maybe.
Our memories. So, Sybil, I remember deciding on its composition by asking myself what were some of my favorite things. The answer, as you can see in the picture, was tobacco, bourbon, and an old Mac computer. 18 years later, I still love my Mac. The other two items, despite my eternal affection, have been replaced with a bronchial inhaler and a metal folding chair in a church basement. And I don't see a tobacco. Oh, there is. Right by the computer, there's a ashtray with a cigar in it, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of hidden there. But yeah, so I don't know what the bronchial inhaler. I guess that's because he can't breathe anymore. And metal folding chair in a church basement, I guess. All right, there you go. But I thought it was interesting. I looked up the image. I'm like, there's supposed to be text there, so I had to track it down from another website. And that's the episode.
Yeah, there it is. I will say, like, that ending was like, it's definitely hinting Leonard's interest in Penny still, where he was kind of like, I'll be whatever you want to be, just and everything like that. And it just seems very sudden, especially with like the breakup with Priya and everything like that. Now all of a sudden, it just seems like he's instantly pining over Penny. When they just established that they were going to be friends, because I didn't take that as like, I'll do whatever for sex, because honestly, that seems worse.
I took it as that he was trying to do it just for sex and that he has that little of self-worth. And the episode was kind of about him trying to find self-worth. But at the same time, like you said, it seems kind of sudden after Priya, and we have had no indication that he is still interested in Penny. We have had a little bit of on Penny's side that she might be interested in him. So I could see her getting kind of jealous of him flirting with the other girls, although I don't think it fell completely smoothly. It didn't like work completely. Like she started the flirting first and he got jealous, and we haven't seen any signs of jealousy on his side, just that he probably wants to get laid because it's been a while since he broke up with Priya, and he's probably kind of sad because he broke up with Priya, although Priya wasn't mentioned at all in the episode, right?
Yeah.
So this seemed out of place and out of line with where we are in the storyline.
That's why I wasn't like, that's another one of the reasons why I wasn't a big fan of their story arc, but the Sheldon arc was a lot better.
Yeah.
But still very weird. Don't know what happened with that egg.
We'll see. Well, yeah, I think that it was trying to indicate that they're both kind of still jealous and into each other. It didn't work as smoothly as I would hope it would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. For several reasons. But other than that, I like the egg story. Timeline wise, it was kind of weird to have Leonard come home, have Raj and Howard over, do the death ray thing, have a little bit of free time, and have the bird come in, have Amy and Bernadette come over. Like, it seems like a 2-day event, and somehow it happened in like the course of like 5 hours. Like, I don't know, but funny nonetheless. It's like a Christmas Carol where the night just goes on and on and on.
All right. Any other last minute thoughts on this episode?
No, I don't think so. With that, I got 1 point being like Sheldon for overthinking stuff, and that puts me. I'm tied 139 to 139, I believe. So
wow, you were drifting away from Sheldon for a while.
Yeah, he's caught back up. There was nothing in this episode. You know, maybe it's because the other characters weren't in it very much. I guess Sheldon, Leonard, and Penny were for their own story, which I wasn't really connecting with. But Sheldon wasn't. Yeah, he was kind of the main focus of that side story, and so I only got a point for being like him, and no one else really applied. But yeah, he's come back. He's coming back around for season 5.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for actually submitted some raffle entries. We love the engagement. Continue the engagement. Email us. Our email is at theoreticalnonsencepod@gmail.com. Remember, give us 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next time.
How many IQ points did we have?
Oh shit! Sorry.
Like, did I miss that? Or
no, we had 5 IQ points.
5.
Yeah. You had 3, and I had 2.
Yes,
and we had different ones.
Yeah,
so, that was a fun one.
Yeah, I really thought you were going to get a food one in there.
I can't believe I missed that. So disappointed in myself.
I got you back. Got you back, Jack.
Bitches be crazy. All right. We will see you next time when we discuss Season 5, Episode 10, The Flaming Spittoon Acquisition. Thanks again. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl. Thanks for listening.